I'm Peter Bowyer. I was a steel worker in the Abbey Works. In '84, I was in the slabbing mill. I was an engineering grade and a committee man for the IST, for our branch of the ISTC. And I was a shift worker, and we had no direct contact with the miners, although we were led to believe, and I still believe, that our union, along with the railwaymen unions, were supporting the miners' union with cash funds.
What was the general opinion of steelworkers about the miners' strike and the impending strike, when it looked likely that strike action would take place in February, March?
We think that the miners were paid off during the period that Margaret Thatcher's government took control in 1980, and she paid them off to attack the other unions, because they were more powerful than the rest of us. They were a bigger union, more members. So she kept them sweet until she was ready to take them on. And part of her actions were the police were also paid extra shifts. I think we heard at the time that they were paid more on a daily basis almost, because they used to, even when we were on strike in 1980, they would be in the buses, the police, and they would show you their wage slips or something representing their wage slips. So a two-pronged attack, if you like. She kept the miners sweet until she was ready to take them on in '84, and she paid the police extra and brought them in from different counties, so you wouldn't have family ties or connections, and that was her start of her.
But what was the actual opinion of the steelworkers? Were you sympathetic to the miners' cause?
Oh, absolutely.
Or do you feel it was the mining industry had its time?
No. 20,000 jobs, was it, they wanted to take off them? We'd already gone through that. In the Abbey Works, we lost, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 when she took us on and beat us. So no, the men were sympathetic. I certainly never passed a bucket when I was in town shopping. The miners would be there with their buckets, always put in some money.
And I know people have said, actually someone mentioned it to me the other day about some steelworkers were picked up, if that's the right word, but the miners didn't come out on strike in support of the steelworkers and vice versa.
Well, there was always the rumour. We were on the picket lines in Swansea, and there was always the rumour, won't be long now, the miners will be coming marching down the road, and they won't just picket the line, they'll dig the bloody road up. But it never happened, and but I would never say that there was too many steel workers were ex-miners or had family in the mines, especially in Gwynby. I worked with guys who were ex-miners from up here.
Did you come across any pickets or picket lines when you were in the steelworks where you were working?
I think they used to have people in attendance, if you like, but it was never called a picket line, because the union, we supported them. As far as I know, we supported them with cash payments.
And what did you think when the strike started, based on your own experience? I mean, how did you think the miners would do? I mean, were you confident that they would get a positive result, or were you What was your thoughts? Do you remember?
I thought at the time it was not poorly led. I mean, it was emotional, you know. They also came out in the spring. Well, people are not using coal then, not in the households. You know, they'd have been. If there's never a good time to go on strike, it's the last thing you want to do. But if strike is the answer, then obviously it would have been better in the autumn, leading into the winter, and affect more people, because you know that to me was common knowledge.
Did you think the miners would get a positive result by their strike action, or do you think they were?
Emotionally, I believe they would. I thought they could do it, but I don't know. As it went on, it seemed, you know, she just got stronger. Thatcher's government just seemed to get stronger. What they did, I can well remember especially the miners. Were stopped on motorways, the flying pickets, and then all of a sudden you had Orgreave, where they were not only not stopped, they were almost directed into the Orgreave area and the little village, or little, the villages, by the police. I mean, someone somewhere should have said that we're being set up here. Let's all just stay on the buses or cars or whatever and go back, leave a small number of pickets, a token force, of about 20 men or something. And what happened was that the police were there in force, on horseback and on infantry. It was almost like a John Wayne film. The horses were kept at the back, and then when they were ready to charge into the men, they just charged, batons flying.
Was there any feeling amongst steel workers that you could be doing more to support the miners?
Well, I mean, there was always, I'm not going to say hothead, but there's always someone who shouts louder that we should come out in support. But we'd already done that, and it, we were out for 3 months, and it's painful. And I never would have expected anybody, whoever they are, to have stayed out as long as those miners did. I mean, their families must have gone through hell for a year,
And as someone who lives in the area, I mean, what do you think was the general opinion of the public towards the strike at the time?
Oh, sympathetic, yes, absolutely, yeah. Everyone's either got a family member or knows of a miner, As I say, I worked with ex-miners and tin plate workers and other people, especially from this valley.
And in your eyes and in your opinion, what exactly were the miners fighting for? Was it clear?
Yes, 20,000 jobs, and stopping the closing of mines they weren't all played out. They weren't all, they're duds. They proved that in the end with the one in the last deep mine in Wales. Yeah, Tower Colliery. That was the proof of the pudding.
And it's been referred to quite a lot as a class war. Is that what it felt like as a working class person? In a working class industry, the steelworks yourself?
Well, I've never looked at it that way. I got to say, to me, it was jobs, absolutely down to the ground. I mean, I've not got any. I've never done that sort of work. I must be honest, underground work, but no, it was jobs. It was jobs, class or otherwise.
And from what you can remember, I mean, at what point did you think that the miners weren't going to get anything from this strike? Just from your recollection, was there a point where you thought this is something they can't win?
I I believed that they could win, albeit that they could have been better led from Yorkshire anyway. I don't know too much about the local boys, so I it's emotional, it is, isn't it? I wanted them to win, and I believe they should have won or could have won.
And how did the miners' strike change trade unions in Britain and in Wales and in this area?
Well, we were all a lot weaker. We were all a lot weaker because they took us on. It seemed like a planned route. The teachers went in and they were beaten. The steel workers, the railwaymen, the dock workers, and shipbuilders. You know, all in our turn. It was like a rolling program of destroying the unions. Add to that, then they were selling off the council houses. They were selling shares or giving shares away at rock bottom prices. She was changing the whole edifice, if you like, of what it was to work and live and work in this country at that time. Doing away with industries that were what they call them, the blue collar industries, and turning us all into stockholders and what have you, shareholders. It's and of course none of them have got those shares anymore. They've long gone.
And how have the communities been since the miners' strike, in your experience? How has the miners' strike affected the communities which you live in and around this area?
Well, the youth is going out of the villages, I think. It's reasonably true to say. It's this village in particular. I mean, I was the librarian here, and the mines had closed. That closed. There was just no work, you know, and it became poorer. Villages like this must have become poorer, and you know, you see it on the news. It's an awful thing. There's only one industry, and that was it. It was flattened.
And just sort of finally, when people talk about the miners' strike, I know it's going to be the 40th anniversary very soon, but when people talk about the miners' strike, what's the first thing that comes into your head? What's the first image? What's the first thought?
Well, the jobs that they couldn't prevent from losing. You could also. I think it was 20,000 jobs they were earmarking to close, and the pits that go with them, and of course the communities attached to those pits. It's so uncomfortable to think that a government did that deliberately. So, you know, I think I'm right in saying that Heseltine was in a meeting with the cabinet. Thatcher was the Prime Minister, of course, and he jokingly, and this is a guy who was born and bred in Swansea, he jokingly said, I can't stay long, I've got a couple of coal mines to close. And you think, is that what, you know, that's it, is it? You know, that's the Tory outlook. Just closing pits, destroying lives.
Did you feel, not just miners yourself, steelworkers, did you feel betrayed by the government?
The government at the time, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they weren't. The same guy They fetched in. They couldn't close the steelworks. They didn't think they could get in the steel industry, so they brought in an American guy with a Scottish name. I can't think of it now. And when he finished with the steel industry, you know, so many works closed, and then they moved into the coal mines, and he finished those off. The same guy. Apparently, he was here for about 5 years, I think, and he lived in a hotel. He was ready to, probably had his bag in the corner of the room, like when his job was done, he would go back to America, which he did do. I can't think of his name now. Scottish name it is.
Is there anything you want to add, Peter?
No.
Any thoughts?
No, it's a bit emotional here, isn't it? No, I think they could have been, the miners, in hindsight, the miners could have been better led, I think, especially at Orgreave, that those people, and they charged them with riot. You know, they were miners, and then when they got them into court, the police got away with that. I mean, they didn't, they were all found innocent of riot, but the police had concocted their stories. How didn't someone get done for perjury? I don't know. They'd have been protected by the government anyway. So.
Okay, thanks for speaking to me, Peter.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Sorry.